Cougar fans, welcome back to our part 2 with Rebekah Ripley. Be sure to go watch part 1 if you haven't already. A lot of fun stuff going on in there. So, I hear your nickname is Bean.
That's my nickname.
So I gotta know the story behind it.
I mean, that's literally my name. My last name. Well, my maiden name. So my name's been Rebekah Bean, but then I got married. But Bean's like my identity. I've always gone by Bean, so I couldn't get rid of Bean, so I made Bean my middle name. Yeah.
Like legally?
Legally. That's my middle name. And Rebekah Bean Ripley.
Do some people just call you Bean without the Rebekah?
A lot of people do, yeah. You can call me Bean.
Well, maybe we'll get there someday.
Okay.
We'll stick
Understandable.
I'll say Rebekah Bean.
That
Actually,
works.
I gotta say Ripley.
Rebekah
I'll
Bean
just say
Ripley.
Rebekah Bean
You
Ripley.
can call me
Every
by
time
my
I see you on
entire
campus,
name.
I'll call you by your three-part
Hey, Rebekah
name.
Bean Ripley.
All right, so we kind of left off going into BYU.
Yeah.
And so going into your freshman year, she had a couple of surgeries, right?
None. Going into BYU, nothing.
And so when did you end up getting your first? Was it your freshman year? Or?
Yeah, so my freshman year I came and, all preseason was great, and then I competed it was either the first 4 or 5 competitions, and then I did a vault and, felt a pop in my knee, and that was the first time that I tore my ACL. That actually didn't even hurt for that long. It hurt for probably like 30 seconds. I hobbled over to the table and I was like, okay, like tape my knee up. I can go do floor. Like I'm okay. And, my trainer, he was like, no, like we're not going to do that. And, eventually I got the MRI results and like I knew that my ACL was torn and that was the rest of my season. And it's been a lot of bad timing because, an ACL recovery is 9 months to a year.
Yeah.
And so starting that recovery, it was about February. By the time I was fully recovered, that was already the mid-season, and so I missed that season as well. And then that following summer, I tore my ACL again, so that was another year plus. And then I finally made it into lineups. This was last year. This would have been my 3rd season not competing. And I finally got to exhibition, and I tore my meniscus.
Oh, no.
But then, that put me in mid-season again, and meniscus is so much easier of a surgery, just a scope, it's not a big ACL thing, and so that was a super quick recovery, and I actually had a summer and a preseason to train, and so that made all the difference of this year being able to, have a season, because I had the training behind me.
So I see a lot of athletes when they have one ACL injury, they can come back too, which they struggle to come back. So what kind of drove you to keep continuing your athletic career, and what was your drive and your why?
Yeah, I don't know. I've always been drawn to the sport, and I always have felt like I'm here to do something. Like I feel like I'm here to do something, and I hadn't done it yet. And by the time my 3rd surgery had happened, I was really debating is this worth it? On my body, this is really hard. And when I really thought about it, I was like, you know what? I've come this far. I got nothing to lose. I might as well just keep going. And I think the reason I've been able to keep going is, I have a really great support system and just people that believe in me and care about me. And, I just have always wanted to be a college gymnast and perform. And I'm so glad that, I stuck it out for a 5th year and got to do that.
And so gymnastics is a pretty individual sport.
Yeah.
But how big is your team?
There's 25 of us this year. Yeah.
And so how is it being in a team like that, but still having to do your own individual thing?
I mean, it's interesting for sure. It's the only sport I've really ever done to that level, and so I'm very used to it. But it's interesting in the fact that you're competing for your team and you want to help your team, but in order to do that, you just have to do your own job, which is completely individual. But yeah, it's weird. There's 15 of us that compete, and it's weird to compete with the 15 girls, but also I'm thinking about myself. I'm I want to do really good, and on the team to do good. It's weird.
So you have to find that balance of not being selfish, but being selfish.
Exactly. I mean, being selfish helps the team if you do good. So
how does the team environment, how does your team chemistry help you achieve your goals?
Our team chemistry this year is amazing, I would say. I feel like our team is a very loving team this year, and everybody's super just uplifting and supporting, and that makes the difference, honestly, of just being happy. And I feel like our team's happy this year, which is good.
So you do have a husband.
I do have a husband.
How did you guys meet?
We met through mutual friends.
Okay.
I was hanging out with a group of friends a few years ago, yeah. And when my husband came back from mission, he was friends with them as well. So, he just kind of merged into our friend group, and, we hung out as friends for a little while. Then he asked me on a date, and, the rest is history.
Yeah. And how has being married been able to help you with your gymnastic career as well?
It's been amazing. Like, again, just such a strong support system, and he's just been amazing at, you know, just always being supportive and being there to help me with everything. I remember my last, I guess my second ACL surgery was just so much easier. I wouldn't say easier, but it was definitely much better, you know, to have that person there with you always. And it was just nice, you know, he takes care of me and like physically and mentally, and like make sure that I'm okay. And it's been very helpful.
Yeah, it's nice being able to, because when you're dating, you know,
Yeah.
you're obviously like close, but you can't. Being married is so much better.
It's so
you get to go
much better.
home, hang out with your best friend.
I literally just go home and he's there and he's like,
Yeah.
how was your day? How can I help
Exactly.
you?
Like, if your day was bad, they make it better. If their day was bad, you can make it better. It's just being married. It's so fun.
Yeah.
Highly suggest
You
to
put
everyone
it
out there,
right.
get married. So fun. Love it. And so your Barbie Girl routine, floor routine.
Yeah.
I watched the video of it. How do you even come up with that?
Actually, I can't take all the credit. I was working on a different floor routine. Well, I was brainstorming for what routine I wanted to do. And one of my really close friends, she was like, you know, you should do Barbie. And I was like, what? That seems like, could I do that? She was like, you know, you're blonde, you got the blue eyes, you're bubbly, you could pull this off. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're right. And, you know, so she originally had that idea. And then I took it to my coach, Brogan, and, you know, she loved it. It's just so fun to do that kind of routine, to have like a theme. And, you know, we went forward from there, and it was just so fun.
That's awesome. Be sure to go check out the link if you haven't already. It's pretty cool. It's like a minute and a half.
Watch
Yeah,
it.
it's awesome. Well, that will finish off our second segment here.
Cool.
But Cougar Nation, be sure to stick around for part 3. And if you haven't already, go back and watch part 1. Some good conversations just flowing. And we're just going to keep going into our third one. So appreciate you, Cougar Nation. Make sure to watch part 3. Thank you for watching this interview. Please like and subscribe so you don't miss the other 2 parts of this interview, plus all of our other interviews we do with BYU athletes. We also like to give a special thanks to our Cougar Board insiders for making this possible.